and welcome to Brands Hatch. Today, the fabulous Grand Prix circuit is set to provide another gripping instalment of GT racing from the GT Cup Championship. Last time out at Oulton Park, Technical Director Andy Dawson told us all about the ins and outs of equalising a grid with so many different makes and models of car. This week he's back to tell us all about ballast. Hi Andy.
Hi.
Now, what exactly is ballast and how, as organisers, do you use it?
There's two types of ballast. There's the equalisation ballast, which is what we do to try and make the cars about the same. Now, they can put that whatever they want in the car. In a Porsche, I think I'll probably put it over the front axle because it doesn't have enough weight on it in the first place.
Yeah.
But that's up to the competitors to put where they want to bring the car to what we say is the minimum weight.
Right.
Then we have success ballasts. Like this. That's this stuff, and this is third place in Group 1.
How much is this? How much
This
weight
is
have we
20
got here?
kilos.
Right, okay.
Now, if you win Group 1, it's
Yeah.
like putting you in the passenger seat. It's 60 kilos.
Right.
Now, we need to be able to see that. We want to see that it's there,
Yeah.
which is why it has to be this sort of block that they can bolt into the passenger seat area with all the correct bolts, etc., so that we can see that they're doing their jobs properly.
So how is the success ballast awarded differently throughout the groups? I presume they don't all get 60 kilos for winning a group, for example.
60, 50, 40 on the three groups, because the smaller cars, the Group 3 cars, usually are lighter. In fact, they're not always, and this is something we've got to look at for the future. But basically, we try to do it so that we actually handicap the winner. That's the idea, to pull the winner back into the others. So if somebody's starting to run away and they're carrying 60 kilos all the time and they're still winning, good luck to them. So anybody that finishes in the first three in their group is going to be carrying success ballast at the next race that they compete in. Not necessarily the next race, because if they miss a race, it carries over into the following one.
Well, fascinating stuff yet again. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No
It'll be
problem.
very interesting to see how ballast plays a part in the races today.
Let's just make sure that we get some good racing. I'm sure we're going to. With the weather as it is at the moment, I think we could have some very exciting racing.
Well, the Pirelli girls are putting up their brollies because it's starting to spit down here on the grid, so we don't know whether the rain is going to be a factor in this race. We'll have to wait and see. Certainly weight and success ballast is. We know Andy Ruin has got the full complement of 60 kilos in his Porsche. Now, the really interesting thing is we've got Porsches on the second row, but for the first time, our front line is taken up by the citrus-coloured TVRs. Danny Winstanley in the green one, and we've got Mike Saunders in the yellow. It's going to be a good one. Let's go racing.
Thanks very much, Charlie. It's certainly going to be a very interesting race because we've got a field that's entirely on slick tyres. As you can see at the front of the camera shot, the rain is coming down as they set off on their formation, that rolling start as ever in the GT Cup Championship, with Michael Saunders on pole, Danny Winstanley alongside Andy Ruin well up in third, and Stephen Ritchie, always entertaining, he lines up in fourth. Benjamin Harvey, excellent fifth to head up Group 2. Andy Yule well up in 12th in Group 3 as well. With the back of the grid, Bartley Dougal unfortunately played with problems in qualifying, and Peter Selden didn't qualify the car, so he lines up at the very rear as the field come through to start the race. And away we go as the thunder rolls towards Paddock Hill Bend, and it's going to be a TVR 1-2 as they arrive onto braking towards Paddock. Is it going to be Saunders or Winstanley? I think Michael Saunders has just done enough. Andy Ruin also looking feisty in the early stages of the field, plunge down the hill, and we go around in the background. It's David Tomlin and Andy Yule who have a moment. Everybody else behind jumping on the brakes, and they all avoid them, actually come together, parking line astern. But another spin there for Andy Ruin, and Andy Ruin goes off. Disaster for one of the championship front runners. So Andy Ruin spins the back of the field, and Tom Andrew has a big moment at the Morgan as well. And this is just because the track conditions are so tricky. They're on slick tyres, they're pretty cold, and the track is becoming very damp indeed. It's like driving on ice skates, and so the driver's really struggling to pick out the grip in the early stages. Ricardo Rupert Martins, around goes David Tomlin and Andy Yule, and Rupert doing a nice job to actually just get on the brakes and avoid them. So head of the field, it's Stephen Ritchie who's emerging to lead the race with Michael Saunders in second, Benjamin Harvey in the KTM Crossbow. That's a Group 2 car, but the nimble and agile handling of the KTM mean that it really suits the wet. And then Danny Winstanley is there in fourth, Michael Simmons in fifth. Tom Andrew is also looking good in the Morgan. His early stages, he's in sixth. But Stephen Ritchie at head of the field and trying to build an advantage over Michael Saunders, who is just having to play tippy-toe with the throttle through Sheens. And Benjamin Harvey launching for the move and going through into second place. So Harvey goes through. You can really see the rain coming down very heavily. As a big twitch from Michael Simmons, and Tom Andrew very hot on his wheel tracks. Adam Hayes well up in Group 3. He's chasing down one of the Ferraris as it's Stephen Ritchie who continues in the head of the field. Oh no, that's Andy Yule who's gone off. Andy Yule goes off, and that rear suspension is somewhat deranged. I don't think he'll be going any further, unfortunately, as the TVRs running together. So it's Saunders from Danny Winstanley, being so careful on the brakes towards Paddock Bend. Again, you can see just how much wetter the track has got since when they came through last time around. And so this rather plays in the hands of Benjamin Harvey, who is really enjoying these wet conditions. The KTM Crossbow has always been renowned for its very agile handling, and the equalisation formula within the GT Cup Championship really enables the car's strengths to come to the fore, which is why Benjamin Harvey is able to take full advantage. Michael Simmons having a good run, and although he's under a lot of pressure, particularly from Tom Andrew in the Morgan, great to see Tom always going slower than that Morgan, so we ride in car with him on the short sprint down Cooper Straight in towards Surtees. That's the race leader. Stephen Ritchie goes off. So Ritchie's had a moment at Surtees. He runs wide. He rejoins as we got a spin further back. So the BMW is getting tangled up. Michael Simmons rejoins, but he goes a place down. Tom Andrew did well to avoid all of that. So into the lead of the race goes Benjamin Harvey. So it's Benjamin Harvey who leads, and he'll just be hoping the rain continues to fall as the safety car comes out. I suspect that's probably to clear the car of Andy Yule. Yes, it is, as Andy is being towed away. And into the pit lane, that's Bartley Dougal who's come in to put on some wet tyres, and also Peter Selden going for the wets as well. So Selden in the big, powerful BMW going for the wet tyres. The safety car peels in, and it's Benjamin Harvey who leads it. And whilst that safety car's been out, it would appear as if the rain has just stopped falling. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this race develops on the restart. So we've got Saunders homing on the tail while Benjamin Harvey. We've got Tom Andrew looking inside the Colin Broster. So Colin Broster well up as well in the Group 2 Porsche, although he's got Andrew crawling all over his tail. And Danny Winstanley having to go a little bit defensive from Colin Broster. Broster, vastly experienced Porsche racer, and again, he really knows where the grip and the handling is in these wet conditions, and therefore has been able to work his way up towards the very head of the field. And we've also got Gary Eastwood lurking with intent there in the Ferrari 2. So this is multi-mark GT racing at its very, very best, as we got the Morgan challenging the Porsche, challenging the TVR, which in turn, TVR in front of that is challenging the KTM Crossbow, and the Ferrari is watching it all unfolding in front of him. So down the hill, it's still Benjamin Harvey who leads, Saunders in second, Winstanley in third. Although I get the feeling if Danny Winstanley can find his way past Michael Saunders, he may just be able to launch a bit of a run onto the tail of Benjamin Harvey, as we've got Peter Selden back of the field, and he's now got wet tyres on a slightly drier track, so trying to regain the ground, but he's going to have to work very hard to do that. So we come along the Rambler Straight to complete the lap, as they then get on the brakes nice and early towards Paddock Hill Bend, and touching the white line and going round is Michael Saunders. He just touched the pit lane exit white line. It was enough to pitch the TVR into a spin, so Saunders exits stage right, and so we have got then up in second place Danny Winstanley. That's Adam Hayes, who is currently leading Group 3, and he has got the rapidly recovering Andy Ruin on his tail. Tom Andrew it is, who is currently third in Group 2, because second in Group 2 is the car immediately in front of him of Colin Broster. Now he's not going to be able to find his way past Colin as we accelerate along the Cooper Straight, where he's looking to the inside into Surtees. Colin taking the wider swooping line, Tom committing to the inside run, and that's great driving from Tom Andrew. Through he goes. That really is superb, as he really found the grip there and powers past Colin Broster as we get a change for the lead, and it's Danny Winstanley in the Green Meanie, the TVR, moving in to lead the race as the track dries out. The power of that TVR coming to the fore of Benjamin Harvey in the KTM Crossbow. That's Stephen Ritchie. Ritchie goes out as Gary Eastwood also looking to make ground. He passes Benjamin Harvey, Andy Ruin as well, closing in. But look at Harvey under brakes into Paddock Hill Bend, fighting back and picking his way through. So we're into the closing stage of the race. It's Danny Winstanley, who looks set for the victory here. He comes up to the start of the finish line, the checker flag goes out, and Danny Winstanley wins the first race of the weekend here at Brands Hatch. Second on the line is Gary Eastwood, with third going, I think, to Andy Ruin. Well, we'll find out with the results. And it is the win for Danny Winstanley. It's Andy Ruin second, because Gary Eastwood picked up a 20-second penalty for an infringement, so he shuffles down onto 10th, which means it's Michael Simmons who rounds out the podium. In terms of the group results, Danny Winstanley in Group 1 from Andy Ruin and Michael Simmons. In Group 2, an excellent drive from Benjamin Harvey to claim the honours from Tom Andrew and Colin Broster. And in Group 3, Mark Radcliffe came through to take the win from Adam Hayes and Barclay Dougal. A great race in very tricky conditions, and the drivers getting the well-deserved bubbly.
Once I got at the front, I just tried to try and keep the pace on in the wet, and it was very slippy. So I didn't try to. There was Expo in front of me, and kindly let me pass once it started drying out, and finally just started to pull away towards the end.
Fantastic race from you. You were leading that for how long there? What do you put it down to? Is the KTM just really grippy?
Yeah, it's a good car in the wet, but I think I drove the car really well, and we made the best of the grip, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It was just a shame that there were 2 safety cars, maybe 3 safety cars, because we might have won, but happy with that anyway. So.
Well, Mark, congratulations. What a race. How was it from your seat?
It was fantastic. It was very slippery at the start, and it took a while to get temperature in the tyres, but once the temperature was there, it was fantastic. Loved the conditions.
Well, what a cracking race that was to start the day here at Brands Hatch. We've got another GT Cup race coming up for you just after the break.